Welcome to the NACE 8 workshop series. Today we're going to be talking about leadership. So what is NACE 8? NACE is the National Association of Colleges and Employers, and the NACE 8 is the 8 traits that recruiters and employers are consistently looking for in students. Today we will be talking about leadership, which is one of these 8 competencies. The other ones are career and self-development, communication, professionalism, critical thinking, teamwork, equity and inclusion, and AI and technology. So to start off, what is leadership? A good way to start defining leadership is to think of a good leader that you have had. What traits made them a good leader? So just pause and reflect. Who is someone that you immediately think of when you think of a good leader, and what are some qualities that they had? So some of these words may have reflected what you thought of. For example, clear expectations, motivated, driven, empathetic. A good leader inspires collaboration, is organized, knowledgeable about the material. They are understanding, they take initiative, and they take accountability if anything goes wrong. So these are all working definitions of what it means to be a leader, but it is important to think about good leaders in your life and what they do well. For example, your manager may be very understanding if you have to do a certain task at a different time or things like that. Reflect on what you find valuable in a leadership position, and that will help you identify what kind of leader you want to be. So what does leadership look like? Leadership looks like inspiring and motivating yourself and others, seeking and leveraging resources and feedback, thinking outside the box to go beyond traditional ways, going beyond what has worked in the past, taking initiative to help others, leading by example using confidence and positivity to inspire others to do the same, build trust and encourage others so that they feel motivated to do their best, and see projects all the way through. So being involved from the earlier stages and planning and initiating to managing throughout and then completing and then reflecting on it afterwards. And the leadership definition, according to NACE 8, is to recognize and capitalize on personal and team strengths to achieve organizational goals, which basically means know what you and your team are good at and use those strengths to get the things done. So, why does leadership matter? Leadership is one of the top competencies that employers are assessing in early career hiring. But why? Recruiters are not just looking for titles. They're not just looking for example, president of a certain organization, but they are also looking for behaviors. These behaviors are the behaviors that will translate into the workforce. Leadership is incredibly important, especially in early careers, because leadership looks like taking initiative. So being proactive, asking for more work if you're done, organizing your work. Being organized helps you stay on track. Helping a team function, it helps with collaboration and communication. It helps solve problems and communicate clearly. And leadership supports others. So it's all of the traits that come together to define you as an early career hire. Leadership experience can look like a lot of different things. For example, volunteering, internships, position on club boards, planning an event, and you can also get involved that way with clubs. Group projects, tutoring, coaching, training new employees, food service, lifeguarding, solving conflicts, and having other types of jobs. So, leadership experience is not defined to a single job, industry, field, or position, but it can be found across a variety of jobs, whether it's lifeguarding or a job in food service or an internship. You can demonstrate leadership across all of these. So, for leadership experience, identify 3 leadership experiences that you can include in your resume, or 3 that you would like to gain. So, looking back at all of these positions, think about if there is any that you have had that identify as leadership experience, and think about what you can put on your resume to highlight that you have that leadership experience. And if you can't think of 3, just think of 3 that you would like to gain. So, what sectors would you like to gain leadership experience in? Is it internships? Is it clubs and organizations? Or is it something else? And diving deeper into leadership skills on a resume, it is very important to use strong action verbs, especially for demonstrating leadership. So, for example, directed, executed, facilitated, coordinated, achieved, and implemented. These are strong verbs that show what you did personally. Additionally, employers really appreciate it and like it when you quantify results with metrics. This helps show the scale and impact of what you're doing. So, for example, drove 150% growth in membership through outreach, trained 3 new hires a week. Anything that you can tie a number back to. For example, if you planned an event, how many people was the event for? That helps show your skill. Additionally, tailor your resume and your bullets and your experience to the role or the job description. So, depending on what role you are looking into applying to, highlight certain things. So, for example, if a role has group-based work, make sure to highlight the teamwork and the leadership side of that. And this helpful resume formula is good for when you're making your resume bullets under each experience. So, you can start with an action verb and then the task or project, so what you actually did. And then the action verbs, there's more examples here on the left, but there are many out there. But just make sure that you're using those strong action verbs that show that you did actively strong and impactful work. And then, so the action verb, the task or project, so what you actually did, and then the metric or result, and especially tying back to a number if you can. So you can practice by writing one bullet using the resume formula for one of the leadership experiences that you listed earlier. So start with that action verb, for example, led, but I think you can think of a stronger one. And then task or project, redesign of workflow, and metric or result, for example, reducing errors by 20%. So just getting some more practice in that. And as for leadership skills in an interview, you want to use the STAR framework, which is situation, task, action, and result. Situation refers to the situation or the challenge that you faced. So this one is about context, giving the interviewer context as to what you're referring to, what position you were in. And then task is the specific task or responsibility that you personally had. And the action, describe how you accomplished the task. So what you actually did. And then result, what impact did that have? So share the outcome and the impact of your actions. And a bonus to add there with the result is learned. So what did you learn from this experience? So, for example, the situation can be during a robotics club event planning meeting, the team was struggling to coordinate tasks for an employer panel happening the next week. The task was I needed help to organize the group responsibility so that we could finalize logistics and present a polished event. And as for the action, I created a quick task list focusing on that I verb there, assigned owners based on availability, set a shared deadline, and checked in with each person to confirm what support they needed. The result was that the team completed all tasks ahead of schedule. The event ran smoothly, and the employer feedback highlighted how well organized the student team was, and then what you learned from that. So, this format will help you effectively demonstrate your leadership skills in the past. And then here's another situation if you want to pause and read that. And to practice, you can answer the interview question, tell me about a time you showed initiative. There are many interview questions out there that are tied to leadership. So it is good to start practicing about what scenarios you would answer those interview questions with. And you can also apply them across questions that you're asked. And then using that STAR framework is going to be very helpful, especially in an interview situation. And as for talking about leadership, it's very important to seek out opportunities actively. So run logistics for a club event, lead a section of the group project, train a new member at a job, manage a small initiative, volunteer, serve as a peer mentor or a tutor, and improve a process. And as for practicing leadership, Volunteer to organize tasks or timelines. So going out of your way to ask for more work or to organize something or to help a process. Communicate proactively. So be the person that reaches out and don't have other people rely on reaching out to you or to check up on you to see if you're doing a task well. Have that proactive communication that shows that you're a good leader. Also, ask clarifying questions, help the team stay aligned. So if the team is getting distracted as a leader, you can bring it back. Offer support when someone is overwhelmed. Bring ideas and solutions. Reflect on strengths and assign tasks accordingly and follow through consistently. There are also different leadership styles. There is laissez-faire, which is a more relaxed style. There is democratic, which is both you receive input from others and you also give pretty strict expectations. And authoritarian is a leadership style that does not have input from others implemented in the leadership style. So, for example, if you're making a paper airplane, these are what different leadership styles can look like. Now, which one do you think is best? It was probably Democratic, right? Because that makes sense. But there's also a contingency theory of leadership that posits what if your leadership style depends on the situation? So there's a plane here, for example. If a pilot is landing an aircraft, you're probably going to lean towards a more authoritarian leadership style there. If there is an emergency or situation, the pilot should be able to make the decision there and doesn't require input from others. There are situations where laissez-faire may be more effective, and there are situations where democratic is most effective. As for developing leadership, you can lead group class projects, volunteer through Center for Service and Action, join clubs and organizations, get an on-campus job, attend workshops, conferences, student leadership events, and engage with the Center for Leadership. And as for showing leadership, clearly articulate leadership skills on your resume. In interviews, display trust, ability, and benevolence, show that you are a good leader and that you care about those that you lead. Discuss the results of past project evaluations and use metrics if you can. And you can earn a leadership certificate through the Center for Leadership at Cal Poly and include this on your LinkedIn profile and your resume. So, for the reflection, leadership is showing initiative, it's being reliable, communicating clearly, and being proactive. Leadership is also very people focused, it's understanding strengths, supporting others, and creating an environment where the team can succeed. It's also decision making, so being able to make hard decisions, respond to challenges, work under stress, work under time crunches. It's how you prioritize and organize. And it's also accountability, which is owning your work, following through, and being dependable. And influence, which is that you can lead from any role. It doesn't matter the specific position or tone that you're in. So being able to set the tone, organize tasks, and help the team stay on track. And remember that leadership is a verb, not a title. So it's not exactly what position you're in, but how you conduct yourself in that position. Thank you.